This is Talk is Sheep, the official podcast of the Wild Sheep Society BC, brought to you by Sitka Game. Come along as we bring conversations that matter to you into the high alpine. Mr. Gregory Rensberg, what kind of shirt is that you're sporting tonight, buddy?
Oh, I am rocking the Wild Sheep Foundation shirt.
Ah, Wild Sheep Foundation. Who are these guys?
They're a small-time organization out of the States that like to conserve sheep and keep them on the mountains.
Sounds like a pretty good organization.
Yeah, it's hard to ignore them. They're, how would you put that? Would they be Big Brother or would they be Dad?
Yeah, I don't know if they're somebody up there, that's for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely. So tonight we're talking a little bit about sheep. We're certainly talking conservation, but more on the goat end of things and mountain goats specifically.
For the love of goats with Marvin Kwiatkowski. That guy.
Kwiatkowski.
Oh, okay, I butchered it.
I butchered it too, man. I just wanted to make you feel good. But yeah, he's got one of those ski names. So, super human being, man.
Oh, he's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. Then passionate about mountains, about conservation, about mountain hunting. He's passionate about life, and he touches on that in the podcast.
Yeah, he does. Fantastic work that the Rocky Mountain Goat Alliance is doing over there, and I hate to admit it, and Marvin, I'm sorry, I didn't realize he was chairman. That's a fairly new position for him, and he's fairly new to the board of directors. But you know what? The society's the same. Sometimes there's just a kind of, there's these anomalies that happen and all things align. And I ended up president of the Wild Sheep Society BC year 2 on the board, which was weird to say the least, or maybe it was my third year. And, it was just, there was a lot of really capable guys and gals on the board, but just the timing and everything. And it just was, it was just a kind of a weird series of events and ended up there and seemed to work okay. And that's the thing, is that if you got somebody that's passionate and driven like Marvin is, you can do it. It's not like, and you've got, because the thing is the board runs itself in many ways. It just needs some leadership, right? Because you've got super capable people, but just a lot of people, they don't have the time or resources or energy to do it at that given time. Any one of them probably could run the organization on their own, but they just don't have the time to do it at the time. And then you get a guy like Marvin that comes in, the timing's right, and super cool. We all know what Darren Epp's been doing over there for years, and just a great organization. I'm super. Are you a life member with those guys, buddy? Sorry to put you on the spot.
I am a life member. Awesome. So you don't got me on this one.
Well, I was going to ask in front of Marvin, but then I'm like, if not, then it's going to cost Greg $500. I didn't want to do that to you. So
no,
or $750 now. I think it went up.
Yeah, I think it's been about a year, so I'm good. I'm good.
Awesome. Okay, we're solid. So I can't call you up on that. But anyway, great chat with Marvin. Fantastic org, and we didn't even hit on the projects and stuff. We did one with the Alliance about a year ago now, and there's some really good project updates there and great work that they're doing on the landscape. But Marvin, we had so much to talk about hunting wise because he's such a killer too, right?
Yeah, it's 28 years straight of hunting goats. Hasn't missed a year. Yeah. It's like there's some stories to tell, and I'm sure we can do 100 episode cut if we wanted to with that guy, and just go year over year. It was great to talk to, and you never know. And he's saving us a sheep story too. So I guess we should dive into that when we're at Sheep Week next year and make him sit down at the booth with us.
Yeah, bring some Chadwick down with us and get into it. So it's interesting, we had a discussion with him about the Kaluski goat, the new world record. And, there's lots of energy around the Goat Alliance. People just want to get their hands on that goat and see that goat. So Justin Kaluski harvested the first 60-inch goat, new world record. And that's been sort of, hitting, everywhere with all kinds of sensation. It was down at Sheep Week. He was out at our show at the Kamloops Convention. He was out at the Big Game Records AGM in Cranbrook, and he's kind of become a bit of a rock star, Justin himself, who's been on the podcast and earlier podcasts. But I'm sure that's helping drive a little bit of energy around goats in the province and worldwide too, right?
Oh yeah, when you mention Sheep Week and then our show in Kamloops, like there was a buzz around goats. We got these two shows. Like Reno's a whole nother level, dedicated to sheep, and there was a buzz for goats there. Like you go to the Rocky Mountain Goat Alliance booth, and there is a crowd. As soon as Justin's goat was there is a crowd. And Kamloops, you walk into the showroom, you look to the right at the Rocky Mountain Goat Alliance booth, and there's 30 people around the booth, just everyone's hands on. He's letting people touch the world record, like just a great ambassador for goats. And what did Marvin say? They signed up 50 new members or something like that at Kamloops?
Several, yeah.
It's just
a lot.
Incredible.
Well, hey, buddy, can you imagine if there was a new stone sheep, a world record stone sheep came out this year? Like, what would that do? It'd be insane, right? It'd be just mental. Like, nothing's been close to the Chadwick ever, right? Forever.
You'd be a legitimate rock star. You'd be flying around on private jets showing off your sheep.
Yeah, absolutely. So on that note, I'm just curious, do you know what the Chadwick scored? Do you have any idea?
Nope. Not off the top of my head, nope.
Do you know what year it was harvested?
I think it was 1936.
Look at you. So I knew that too, but I don't know what it scored. So, okay, send us your guesses on, well, it's not going to be guesses, you're going to look it up, but let us know. Send us a message to communications@wildsheepsociety.com, and we'll randomly give a hat away to the correct answers. So send your answers in, and it'll be a fun one for us. So anyway, buddy, I've got 2 weeks. He's talking about 2 weeks, and he's going to be going in the mountains. You'll hear on the podcast, and I've got about 2.5 weeks, and I'll be taking off too. So you're not going till September, but
I'll be going end of September, but that'll give us some time after you get back from your hunt, and we'll sit you down, put you on the other end of the microphone, and we'll grill you about your trip, the do's and don'ts of Kyle Stelter.
Lots of don'ts, man. I've got a healthy list of that. So I'm trying out some new gear on this one. I picked up. It's called the Durston X Mid Pro 2, and it's ultra lightweight tent. It's kind of like for that ultra lightweight packing community. So I'm going to be trying that bad boy out. So I'll report back on what that one looks like. And then I just run a tarp, a quilt. I don't run the sleeping bag early season, so I'm going to be running those two things together. So it's going to be kind of fun to check out that new system. And to be honest, full disclosure, I haven't even set the thing up yet. I'm going to do that this weekend. So
you should probably practice before you get in the bush.
Yeah, no, for sure. In fact, I just picked up the poles. I've got the poles came in today, so it's going to be fun I bought it because you can use your hiking poles. And I'm like Marvin. I like to run my poles, right? And I don't want to take my tent down every single day, so I bought the poles and going to run that instead. So, but I'll have something to talk about.
That's a cool option, though. If somehow you break a pole, you got your hiking pole can double as your tent pole. So that's
true. Yeah,
safety factor.
Said. Yeah, good
all
point.
Safety.
Yeah, as we hear in Marvin's chat here. So.
Definitely. Oh man, you guys are going to enjoy listening to this one.
For the Love of Goats with Marvin Kwiatkowski.
This episode is sponsored by our conservation partner, Swarovski Optic. Thank you, Sitka Gear and Swarovski Optic, for investing in healthy wildlife and sustainable ecosystems.
How's it going?
Good. Oh, you guys got the big mics going?
We try to look professional because we're not. So
it's all good. Sounds good.
How's it going, brother?
Good. Yeah, no, heat. It's heat. It's warm here. Things are heating up, but good and bad, of course.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Could get in the way of some things this summer. We'll see what happens, right, with the fires and the heat. So,
yeah.
What do you got planned for hunts?
The first one I'm leaving 2 weeks, right? So 2 weeks tomorrow it'll be. So that'll be a stone sheep hunt for 15 days, 15 in the mountain. So that'll be good. And then really it won't be till goat later in November. And then I'll do deer around here. I'm ready to go back to Alberta, but I didn't really plan that this year. So I'm ready for another draw. I think I'm 4 on the priority list. So Yeah, we'll
mule or
see.
elk?
That'll be mule deer. I don't think I'm putting in for elk anymore. I was, and then I did pronghorn a couple years ago, so that'll take a long time if I ever get it again. Took 12 years the first time, so that was pretty cool though.
Are you going Dease Lake way for stones? 'Cause
Yeah,
big fires erupted there the past 48 hours.
I just looked because my son's guiding in Spatsizi this year for the first time, so I just showed him there's a pretty big fire in there.
Yeah. Well, the
Yeah.
one by, was it Jade Mountain, just was 0 to 34,000 hectares in 48 hours.
It's crazy. I didn't see the one in Spatsizi the other day. I got it on the app, and then I looked yesterday and I sent it to my kid and said, "Look at things are going to get interesting."
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's, I don't know. Hopefully it doesn't cause issues, but it has before.
Yeah. That never fails.
Yeah. You just got to roll with it and see what happens.
So, Marvin, tell us about who the heck you are when it comes to the conservation world. You've taken the world by force here, and you've done a ton of great stuff for wild sheep. But I see you're wearing a RMGA, Rocky Mountain Goat Alliance, a goat shirt tonight. So I think there's a little bit of story there.
Yeah, so I thought I'd mix it up, put the sheep hat on and the goat shirt on so I could be a little bit more balanced, right? So we'll probably cover both bases. So so I mean, I've been involved with the Sheep Society for a few years now. Just for interest sake, I came down 2011 to the first sheep show here in Kamloops, and I moved here the next year. I liked it so much, so it was great. I mean, honestly, it was like phenomenal, and I just loved it. Then I was a member every year, and then I became a life member, and we'll see where that goes. I've been enjoying it, and I've been helping out as well with some of the events more recently. And then let's switch over to goats. I've been a bit of a goat fiend most of my life. Didn't hunt them all my life, but I have for 28 straight years. So that's a good run on the goats. But I have a passion for the conservation component, just kind of observing. And as you get a little bit older, you kind of see things in life and how things are changing, and where there's not goats where there used to be goats, and kind of the impact on not just resource extraction, but just if they're overhunted, obviously the weather and things like that are starting to affect our animals in a bigger way. So that kind of has really jumped out, and then I got involved fairly recent. Actually, I'm not a longtime member of the Goat Alliance, but it's been a few years, and then I got on the board a year and a half ago, and somehow I became chair now. So that's kind of how things just evolve fairly quick. If you put your hand up, you never know where it'll take you.
It's pretty awesome actually to see that, and I love that when it can happen with an organization. And it's not so much about the mentorship; it's just about finding the right person, the good fit, and it's really cool to see that you're in that role. And man, I'll tell you, your board. Obviously, we've had Darren Epp on the show before, and can't say enough about what that man does for conservation, size large across the landscape, and you got a really, really exciting team that you guys have compiled there with the Alliance.
Yeah, I'm super stoked. Kind of even in the short time I've been involved, just to kind of see some of the changes, and kind of just how we've expanded. And to be honest, what kind of got me really keen 2 years ago was there really wasn't a lot of representation in British Columbia. Darren's in Alberta, but he was really our only Canadian member on the board at the time. So I thought, man, we need a little bit more force here in BC. We're kind of the goat mecca, and I have a passion for goats, so it was kind of a no-brainer almost to get involved. And to tell you the truth, we had our first booth at the sheep show here in March, and it was probably our best booth as far as we go to Reno as well and other shows. But the interest in British Columbia on goats is phenomenal. It was just nonstop. People coming to the booth, wanting to join up or talking about projects, what we could do in their region. So it was pretty exciting.
People are pretty fired up, and yeah, it's good to see. Like, you guys, how many did you sign up? Wasn't it like 50 something people or something?
We had a good number. We had, yeah, I don't know the exact number, but it was significantly more than we would sign up in Reno, which was just phenomenal to see.
Well, I guess the price is going up this year, right?
The price we dropped the price in BC just as a special to we kind of made the dollar on par with the US, so we tracked it a bit more that way. But I don't know, maybe it was because we had that big world record goat sitting at the table, but that was just another phenomenal thing for this year to have such a fine specimen taken in British Columbia by a resident, and we were able to have that. We saw that in Reno for the first time, Justin Kolowski's goat, and then we had it at our booth here in British Columbia.
Yeah, it's pretty hard not to get inspired when you see something like that. That thing's almost a freak of nature. It's just so extraordinary how big it is, and just it looks like something from Africa, not something from the Northern Rockies.
I mean, I've been hunting goats for years. We always joked about a 60-inch. Like, we always said, oh, we're going to go out and get a 60-inch goat, and kind of was always a bit of just a dream. You'd think about it, but never thought it would ever happen. And sure enough, it happens in British Columbia, and a resident gets it, and shows there's still some fine animals out there, and especially in the goat world, there's so much untouched land. Yeah,
it's pretty cool, and so you guys are doing fantastic work. It's inspiring to see what's going on. You look at the Alliance, and you go back to the Peter Munich days, like decades ago, and Pete worked so hard, and was slowly trying to grow the org, and it seems like it's really caught traction these past 2 years. Where are you guys sitting at membership wise now? Like, you're I think, is Darren Epp number one on the life member list?
Yeah, I think he's one or two. Maybe Peter was number one and Darren was two, but maybe Darren got number one. Pretty close. He was right there at the outset. So yeah, third, I think we're like 1,100, and a third roughly are life members, which is a pretty good ratio to have. 300 or so life members. Kind of committed to the efforts. And yeah, I think there's so much more potential too to get more people involved, and we're seeing that. We're seeing a lot of people who don't even hunt, not even interested in the hunting realm, but want to do the citizen science, which is a huge component of what we do. Just getting the average person who likes goats and wants to be out in nature and help out with an organization, and that's pretty exciting to see.
So why goats? What's with, and I'm a sucker too, man. I'm a life member. I love what you guys do. I love and I've hunted goats for years. I've never shot one, just for the record. And not for lack of opportunity, just, I don't know, maybe I'm afraid to pull the trigger. I'm not sure, but what's with goats? What, like, I think I asked Darren this last time he was on the show, but what's with goats? Why are they so bloody special?
Yeah, I mean, if you go back to me, it was always sheep and goats since I was probably 5 years old. I got the book beside me here, Jack O'Connor, Big Game Animals in North America. And there's something that intrigued me about, mountain ungulates and those two animals, goats and sheep. And it kind of just, ever since I was young, I've had some, you see stories. We knew individuals that did fly-in sheep hunts and goat hunts up north. My dad didn't hunt, so I kind of didn't get an early start that way. My uncle's a taxidermist. My other uncle was a hunter. They didn't really hunt for goats, but I saw, my uncle mount a lot of goats. The key for me is, and then when I moved to northern, I grew up in northern BC, but I moved more coastal in the terrace area. I mean, that's in your backyard. So that's an abundance of goats, kind of the world. Is looking at population densities. It's probably the most dense population. So to me, it's really the country they live in. It's unbelievably gnarly. And then goats are just tough critters to survive that terrain, the weather. And I mean, who doesn't like a winter cape on a goat? I mean, it's just so impressive, and just to see what they go through and they live for. And then, unless you're close to a park, you don't really see a lot of goats. I mean, there's something that most people probably grow up and don't really see unless they're going through Banff or Jasper. So they're kind of an elusive critter. That's probably what also attracted me. I love the high country. I have loved to hike since I was young. So, I mean, you find them on the top of the mountains in the winter, and I mean, it's such beautiful vistas, and to get up close to a goat, yeah, they're just so majestic.
So have you hunted them every year for 28 years?
I pretty much have, and I can't count the number of hunts, because I mean, when you live close to goats, you do day hunts. I had partners that I had flexibility. I could just like, hey, it looks like good weather tomorrow. Phone up a buddy, you good to go, and then we just go. So I mean, to put in 20 days, at random throughout the year is pretty easy when you're younger. You don't have kids. You've got lots of flexibility with your work. So, I mean, that just fed the passion every weekend. If I couldn't get off during the week, I'd do 8 weekends straight of goat hunting. So it just became a lifestyle of, it's not what you're doing. It's okay, when you going next, who you're going to go with, who you're taking. So it just became something that I was just kind of known to do, and love to get out and take people out.
So what's better, the putting or taking? Is the conservation thing more your thing now? Is it because they talk about the evolution too of the hunter, right? The multiple stages, and I'm not going to do it justice. I won't even try. But has it changed for you?
It definitely has changed. I was hoping you would ask that question. So it has evolved immensely. Like I wouldn't need to shoot another goat, and I don't shoot very many goats anymore. I take individuals out to shoot goats, but we're really targeting old, mature animals. And really, what I'm always big and have been big on the adventure component of just going out there and enjoying nature, hiking far, getting away from civilization as much as I can. So really, it's an all encompassing type of a hunt. It's not simply for the animal. But really, I started out goat hunting as a meat hunt. That's my first animal was a 1.5-year-old billy. Next year, I took actually a nanny. The year after that, I took an old mature billy. So I didn't really have that mentorship on kind of knowing the effects on population of shooting a nanny. I've hardly taken any, but I've taken a couple because I really wasn't aware of the impact at the time. So you kind of learn as you read up. You get mentorship. I had a boss that was hardcore into hunting. He never took me hunting, but we talked for years about goat hunting when I lived up north. So, he always targeted mature billies. So I got to realize pretty early on, targeting mature billies helps out on the population component. So yeah, now really out there to take photos, take individuals out. I really love taking fellows out that have never even goat hunted. So that's kind of a neat experience. But they have the passion. They have, a desire to be ethical, and they understand the conservation component. So yeah, it's just being with solid individuals who kind of share a similar passion. So yeah, it's pretty neat to see individuals who have never really goat hunted. They usually say the same thing all the time. That's the most difficult hunt I've ever been on. Usually that's the theme, especially coastal. I mean, I've hunted a little bit in the Rockies. It can be tough too. But that coastal terrain with the thickness of the brush, how wet it can be, it's next level.
Awesome. Let's talk a little bit about the conservation ethic, Marvin. And I need a reminder of this too. I get the principle about not shooting nannies and also the principle of mature goats, but maybe for those that are less averse, like why it's so important and how it's sensitive to the population. And I know this is a pretty basic question for you, but I think it's worth just maybe hitting a little bit on that, especially as we're coming into the fall here.
Yeah. So, I mean, the big thing to focus on, and at one point in time, even in British Columbia, the regs were a little bit looser as far as which goats you could shoot. I mean, it wasn't up till recent, even in the Kootenays, it was really any goat, any age. If you looked in the LEH, I was always surprised at that because that only changed not that many years ago. So I was always like, well, what's going on here? You could shoot even nannies. They don't seem to mind, but they've changed that. So obviously shooting a nanny is you're taking away that potential, the reproduction of, for having yearlings every year, hopefully. But goats don't necessarily produce every year too. It's usually every couple years or more. So it's not like they're every year you're getting a new offspring from a nanny. So really taking that nanny out of the population and seeing how that over a 5 or 10 year period, how many goats are now not being entered into the population because you've removed one. So removing a billy will reproduce. They're not teamed up with one nanny during the rut. They're servicing, quite a few nannies. So, taking a more mature, a really old billy, they're probably not even in the rut so much. If you look at billies that are going to be 10, 12 years old, they're not as active in the rut. Whereas you're 5 to, they'll try at 3, but typically, 5 to 10 year olds, they're going to be the most active in the rut. So yeah, you can have 1 or 2 billies servicing quite a few nannies. And then again, those really old billies are probably out of the reproduction.
What's a prime age for a billy, would you say?
Like as far as the breeding would go?
Yeah, if you're going to harvest a billy, what's kind of the age you should target? For sheep, it's we try to go 8 or older, right? So
I would prefer. That's my personal. Those be go for 10 or more, but if you can go for 12 or older, but those are hard to find. If getting a 12, 13-year-old billy, but if you can, like an old 10-year-old or more is what you would typically want. I would say, your prime breeders are probably 5 to 8-year-olds. So, even though that's a fairly much, most people are going to be pretty happy with a billy that's 7 or 8 years old, but they're still in the prime breeding years too. But again, it's not so much taking the billy as taking the nanny out of the population. That will be the main concern.
Is nanny harvest, is it an issue in BC? Is there a high nanny harvest rate?
There is in certain areas. So certain areas in the Northwest, that is becoming a bit of a concern, more in the bow only zone. So they're going to be doing some studies there.
Is there ever any talks of doing what I believe it's Alaska? If you harvest a nanny, you can't hunt there for however many years in that zone.
Yeah, that is the what's happening up in Alaska in certain areas. That would be something that would have to, if things kind of progressed and there was more nannies being harvested, which it's not too bad right now, but if it got worse, that would be something they would look at. The key would be education, and that's another thing the Goat Alliance is pretty focused on. It's probably, I'm not a biologist myself. My focus really is educating. So that's kind of one of the big things that I like to do is just educating individuals. I just did a seminar a month ago for state of Colorado with all their tag holders, because they only get 200 tag holders out of 30,000 applicants. So it's a once in a lifetime. So it's, once in a lifetime, they're probably not going to know the difference between nannies and billies so much. So they have sort of a mandatory training session that they put their tag holders through. And that's something that I'm pretty keen on is helping individuals out, even if they're out in the field. If they're within range, cell range or something, they send me a photo and say, what do you think it is? But that's the key component, right? Is identifying nannies from billies, which can be tricky with some of the genetics that nannies have, especially in British Columbia.
It's funny you mentioned, guys sending you pictures, because you're kind of like the guy. You're the goat guy. I hear it in casual conversations all the time with people looking to go goat hunting, or people that have never gone goat hunting, and they're discussing like, what's the first step? And you wouldn't believe how many times I hear, get a hold of BC Billies on Instagram. Reach out to Marvin. He'll let you know. He'll teach you. He'll help you. He'll guide you. Not guide you. Sorry, wrong word. But he'll educate you on what to do. Is that something you're passionate about? Because it seems. I
really am. I am. Actually, I've kind of been off Instagram for a couple of months, but taking a little breather. Just life's busy. So, yeah, I do. I mean, it's not like I give individuals access on a map, but I want people to kind of know what they're getting into. And I think that's one of the biggest things as well. When I did the seminar a month ago for Colorado was the tactics, and my biggest concern would be the safety of being out there. So yeah, I'd like to help with the identification component and kind of what does a big mature billy look like? What are the characteristics? But that safety component, because people can get themselves in a lot of trouble. I'm one of them. I got helicoptered off a mountain 1991. So I wasn't goat hunting, but I was right where prime goat terrain. Number 2 goat was taken off of there with a bow actually years later. But I kind of lived firsthand what can happen in the mountains. So yeah, it was a traumatic thing. I lost my kneecap. I could have died, gotten paralyzed because I wasn't thinking. Young males not always thinking. Adrenaline rush, love that in the terrain and how dangerous it is. Although I didn't realize when I'm younger what can happen so fast. The weather can turn, avalanches. I got caught in an avalanche, rock avalanche in the spring. People just don't realize if they haven't been there what can all happen. Grizzly bears, there's a lot of those on the coast. I've had a few run-ins with bears. So there's just a lot of things that can happen with your gear, with your partners, that can get you in a whole heap of trouble and could end your life pretty quick if you're not thinking straight.
Now, do you find when you're out glassing for goats, is glassing the terrain equally as important to you? Like, so you don't get yourself in those sticky situations like you mentioned?
Yeah, it's the amount of time I spend looking at maps. I mean, I kind of predate the internet. So I have a lot of maps. Now I generally do a lot of when Google Earth came out, it was like Christmas. It was unbelievable, right? It's such an important tool. I look at that so much before I ever go into the country. Last year I went into a new area. I pretty much know my route in advance. There was one tricky spot that I wasn't sure by looking at fat maps, looking at Google if I could navigate it. And sometimes you may think you can't navigate it until you're out there and then you look closely. But I spend a lot of time on the navigation component. But the other one is you may see goats, and a couple of years ago, we saw goats 350 yards away without looking closely. There's 2 gorges in between us and the goats. So shooting a goat, retrieving that goat was probably not going to happen. So, looking at the terrain, looking at the maps, and making some smart decisions. So many times with goat hunting, you're not pulling the trigger. So you got to be prepared for that and know that you put in a good effort, but a lot of times you're probably not wise to pull the trigger.
Do you find when you're out there sometimes with a new partner and they start glassing a goat and they're thinking, oh, yeah, that's a good one, let's shoot it, and you got to slap them on the nose and say, don't even think about it, we're not getting that thing?
Oh yes, not a lot. I mean, usually you're kind of guiding them and talking about that well in advance. And a lot of times a new hunter, and I've taken quite a few Alberta, some from Ontario, they're simply not used to the terrain, so it's very intimidating. So usually they're on the other way. They're usually more cautious, which is a good thing. So I'm like saying, oh no, I think we can do it. And I got to prepare. I've done a few retrievals on others' goats because I'm more afraid of that individual trying to retrieve it with me. So I had to do some, solo retrievals just because safety of my partner. So it's really good to know your partners. That's a huge component of it. You don't want your partners to have no fear, and you don't want, if you have a partner that's absolutely fearful of mountains, he probably shouldn't be there, but that's a huge component. I've taken a lot of individuals and most have been good, but I get to know them quite well in advance. I got some great partners out of Alberta. Before I took the one individual, he came by and he spent the weekend with me and we went for hikes. and he's a phenomenal partner. Just he had a stroke when he was 15, so he may be listening to this. He's going on my sheep hunt with me this year as well. But I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't putting him in a situation that would be unwise because of some physical limitations. I have a physical limitation as well without a kneecap, but yeah, it's kind of getting to know an individual, knowing what their ethics are like, knowing what their drive and motivation is, and just knowing their physical abilities. And yeah, my buddy he was phenomenal last year on the goat hunt, in spite of some physical limitations.
We got to roll that back there a little bit. You're still without a kneecap and out in the mountains all the time?
Yeah. It's probably, the reason I probably train more than most because of that issue. And that's like my friend John out of Alberta. He is so focused and trains so hard because he has, a physical limitation. So it kind of helps drive us more to push and train because I don't have a lot of mass on one leg. There's not much there. I pretty much push up with one leg, or my good knee and my good leg, and then I have my hiking poles. But yeah, it's a tough thing, but I've just keep at it and do all right with that.
I'm not gonna lie, that's you're a crazy man there, Marvin. That's going mountain hunting for goats with missing an eagle. Like, man, that's just says how much you love it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I felt I was given another chance at life, right? And I say this all the time. And if someone was to ask me what my favorite hunt is, and maybe you would ask me that, others do. My favorite hunt was probably my last hunt I did, and my next favorite hunt's going to be the one I'm going to do in 2 weeks. And everyone is super special. No two are the same. They're all unique and they're different. But probably since 91, I treat every trip like it's my last trip. So I go into that mentally knowing that, you know what, I may not have another trip in me. Things happen in life, right? So yeah, I treat every trip like it's my last, and I think I make the most out of that trip because of it. So I train hard. I, do the preparation, looking at where I'm going, doing my homework, making sure that if something happens, I've got no regrets, that I gave it my all. So, I mean, that's kind of what I'm looking for in partners too, right? I'm looking for that motivation and drive and that passion to be out there and just to love animals. My partner this year, the one from Alberta, he's just coming with his camera. That's what I love to see. He's a hunter. He can't hunt because he's from Alberta. He can't hunt for sheep, but he's just coming to be there, to experience it, to do the fly-in, to take photos, and just for the camaraderie. So that's kind of cool.
Well, that kind of terrain out there too, and the stones country is something else. That's if you're not hunting and bringing a camera, going in deep for stones on a fly-in, that's a trip of a lifetime right there.
It's a dream come true, and I know that's where I first met Kyle. He doesn't remember it, but I think it was on his first sheep fly-in hunt in 2011. We were actually at the float plane dock at the same time, going different directions. But it's just like doing a float plane with the Haviland beaver, northern British Columbia. It doesn't get much better than that. It really doesn't.
No, it's
Kyle's speechless.
You can see him processing. The wheels are spinning there.
No, I'm trying to think of the year, because you said that before, but I remember my first fly-in, and I remember the guys
maybe it
that
wasn't
were there.
Was it 11?
Well, yeah, I think it was
maybe that wasn't your first one.
Yeah, I can't remember if that was. Yeah, and then we can't reveal our secrets where we were going either, can we? So,
we can't say the secrets, but I know what happened in yours is that you didn't end up going where you're wanting, and it still worked out all right. I remember I was in. Yeah, we didn't know each other.
Yeah.
It was pretty. Sure. It's pretty cool though. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Who you all meet and guys I've met sheep and goat hunting. You don't see, and I guess another thing about goat hunting, which is probably one of the reasons I love it as well. You actually, where I go, you just don't see people. Sheep hunting, you're going to see people. It's going to be interesting this year where I'm going, new area. I know seems like there's more and more people getting into the backcountry. But generally for goats, I am not seeing people. I can count how many people I've seen on all those hunts, probably on one hand. It's that few. So it's like you literally feel you've got the mountain to yourself, which is a pretty neat feeling too.
Well, that's what a lot of us are striving for when they're back there, right? That peacefulness, being humbled.
Sounds like you're ready for a goat hunt there, Greg.
Oh, I'll be flying in again this year. Yep.
Yep.
No goats where I'm headed. Maybe a sheep or two. You never know.
Yeah.
Or a ptarmigan, whatever.
You know what? I've never taken a ptarmigan.
I've only had one. It was delicious, but
I'm sure. We've been tempted. We've been tempted. Trust me.
Yeah. So what's the most important gear? What's your most important piece of gear you find if you're getting into goat hunting? Where do you want to start? Do you want to start with your boots? Do you want to start with your pack, your clothes? Where do you start?
Well, a little bit of history here. I'm going to probably go with boots is pretty darn important, to tell you the truth. So you know what I started with? In mid-90s, I started with those Koflax. They're mountaineering boots that are plastic. I thought they were the best thing. I didn't know. I just thought, man, that's the kind of boot you want for goat hunting. So I did a couple seasons with them and realized they are not quite cracked up to what you want in a goat hunt. Simply too stiff. You can't get a feel for the rock. So I went with, I probably won't get into all the brands here, but yeah, you want a fairly stiff boot, but yet you want to get a bit of a feel for the rock that you're on. So I got the Les Sportivas now. They're probably the best boot I've tried. The Evo Nepals. So yeah, they're a good. Yeah, boots are critical. I've had guys without the right support, and you're going to feel it. You're going to be doing so much steep, so much side hilling that you want to be confident. And the other thing is, I had one of my buddies a few years ago, we were out goat hunting. He kept slipping all the time. And it's like, why are you falling all the time? He had a decent boot, but his soles, and then I said, let me look at the bottom of your soles. And they were like right rounded off. So typically I've resoled my boots every 2 to 3 years. So I have still a decent edge. You want a good edge. Otherwise, I mean, you just can't really afford to slip. I mean, you slip in the wrong spot, you're done. So whether it be on grass or whether it be on hard scree slopes, a lot of the terrain we're in, there's just a lot of hard packed silt clay slopes and there's a cliff below them. So you really need to dig in. So boots are important. Pack, again, I started with, I'll say a mech pack, cheap, $200. In the day, it wasn't a cheap pack for me. If you go back more than 30 years, that pack didn't fit me. I didn't know how to pack a pack. I put all the weight at the bottom. Yeah, the pack was oversized for my torso. That thing would kill me. I mean, I just thought that's what packs are. I mean, you got a heavy pack, you're packing a goat out. We didn't debone. I didn't know about deboning. You know, I didn't have experts and people that hunted for years. I kind of started with guys same age. We said, let's start goat hunting. So, you know, it killed me. Then it was years before I got a good pack. And my first pack was a Kafaru, and it was a game changer. It's like, wow, this is next level. Yeah, didn't know. You don't know what you don't know. And if you don't try better gear, you just don't know it. But I don't think you need the best gear to start hunting. That's another thing that's important, right? You don't need the most expensive. It's taken me years to build up to the gear. So yeah, boots, pack. Where else we want to go? Hiking poles. I still watch videos of individuals that are out goat hunting. I watched some recent, and it's like they don't have hiking poles and they're slipping. Again, I didn't use hiking poles. I thought they were, Europeans, it's, you'd say they were for sissies. That's kind of how we grew up. Like hiking poles, those are for like the weekend guys coming out of the city, but we'd only take one pole at a time. It was just one pole. And then we got to the 2 poles and it was like, hey, this is a this is huge, the impact it has. And especially for me, going downhill is a big pound on my knee and my bad knee. So it takes out a lot of the pounding on the knee, and then it helps with your propelling as you head up the mountain. So good poles. I've had cheap poles, they break on you, and then it's pretty frustrating. So pretty good to invest in a decent set of poles as well.
Marvin, are you still wearing the Kafaru, or what are you wearing for a pack right now? Like what system?
I've upgraded, but it's upgraded to another Kafaru.
Okay. So, do you run the gun bearer with it?
I do. I don't always I often have it strapped to the side. The stock's in the holder, but I often have it on the side of my pack. So I don't have it like loose in front of me, because when you're hiking up a mountain for goats, you don't want that thing banging into you. You want it on the side of your pack or the back of the pack. In the country we're in, you can have it in the holder the proper way more when you're up in the Alpine, or you're more on the flats. But boy, when you're going up through the cliffs, you don't want that thing in front of you at all banging.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I know a lot of guys don't like running poles because then they don't have their firearm accessible, and that gun bearer is pretty handy. But yeah, if you're in the cliffs doing a stalk, there's no grizzlies that you're not going to see there, right? So obviously going through the trees or something, that's where you're going to be concerned about that. So
yeah, I mean, it typically even in the you could see a grizzly. There's the odd time. Usually they're going to be in the berry patches, which is typically lower down, or in the clear cuts, which are open, which yeah, they could be in there, or in the Alpine. But the timber's pretty open timber on the coast, because there's just the underbrush just can't grow up there. It's such a heavy canopy.
Do you find yourself setting up a main camp and then spiking up top?
I used to. So that's probably one of the biggest changes I've done in recent years, whether it be sheep or goats. For numerous reasons. One is I'm aging, and I'd rather hunt smarter than hunt harder. So typically I would have one main camp and then spike it out from there and sleep in a garbage bag. I'm a bit old school. I don't sleep in the bag anymore, but I used to. I just bring a garbage bag, big oversized one. So now, and then I was bringing like a little tarp or a tent fly, a one-person tent, but the fly only, and then we could sleep under that. But I've changed it up now, and we're pretty much going with solo tents, because numerous reasons. We can take our gear with us pretty much all the time. I may leave a portion of my food if I'm up for a 10-day goat hunt, which is what I'm doing now, usually 10 days. I may leave a portion of my food at the front end of the range more, tucked away. But typically I'm taking all my gear, and that allows me to be way more flexible, keep going deeper and deeper. So I can go 3 days back, and I'm like, all my gear's with me. And then we can set up, like you say, the footprints are so much smaller with a one-person tent. That's what I'm finding, unless you're right in the Alpine in the open. But we're shooting goats wherever. Like, it's steep, and we can set up near where the goat goes down, or where we see goats and we want to kind of just, okay, let's hunker here just before dark. So it just gives you much more flexibility. And then I don't have to put up with a guy snoring beside me in the tent.
You could just move down the mountain a little bit.
Yeah, that's actually another component of it too, right? Is I'd really like to get a good sleep in, and that can cause a bit of an issue as we age. So some of us snore a little bit more. I'm not saying I'm snoring; it's my partner mainly.
Yeah, because you listen to yourself sleep.
What are you running for a tent now then? What's that solo tent you run?
I just upgraded. So my regular tent I had since 2008 was the Hillyberg Kadam 3, and I use that for all my sheep and goat hunts pretty much. I changed it up. Now I was running a solo MSR, but I could tell you what happened to it a couple years ago. The wind destroyed it. I mean, I've repaired it. It's still usable. It's still in decent shape. So I now got I just bought it this year, was the one-person Hillyberg Solo. Okay, cool. So, have you run it yet, or is it brand new? This is the first time you'll have used it. It's brand new, but I talked to I talked to outfitters, right? I talked to Nolan and different individuals about that tent, and they say, yeah, that's the tent to have. I kind of like it's freestanding, so that's another reason. I want it for winter goat hunting, where it's hard to get pegs in the ground. You can set it up anywhere. You could set it up on rock. So you can anchor it, but you don't need to anchor it. And sometimes it's just so hard to find, the side of a mountain tucked in under a tree where you're kicking out a spot to set up the tent. I mean, it's pretty darn hard a lot of times to actually use all the guy wires and anchor it. So that's what typically all the other tents I've used are not freestanding. So I like the freestanding. You can sit up in it. It's pretty roomy. It sort of has the features I like.
So I can't wait to hear about it. Sorry, Greg.
No, I was just gonna say, we'll elaborate on the sleep system now. What are you dragging out with you now that you like to be comfortable?
Oh, you mean for like sleeping bag?
Sleeping bag, sleeping pad. What are you doing?
Oh, I still use an old. Well, no, I started off with the little blue foam. I don't know if you can still buy those.
Yep, my kids use one when we go camping still.
Yeah, you know what? I still use one, but I use another one as well. I bring a little foam with me, and that's something in recent years, just simply for when you're glassing, right? So I want a bit of a foam to sit on, especially more in the winter time. But I also put that foam under my normal. I got a Neo Air light, so it doesn't have much of an insulation factor. So with that little foam underneath it, so I got the Neo Air light, which I've had for years, and then I just put that the cheap foam underneath it. And then for bags, I've got numerous bags, 3 down, and then I've got a synthetic, which I picked up in recent years, just because that late season coastal goat hunting with the down was just absorbing all the moisture. It's pretty much 100% humidity all the time if you're going to hunt October, November on the coast. So I went more with the synthetic on that, which is all right. But I do like my down still. Love my down. So I'll take down on the sheep hunt here in 2 weeks. Just which one? I'm just debating on my older, really super light compact one. If you're going for 15 days, that's a lot of gear, and especially the food for volume. So I might go with my cheaper 20-some-year-old down bag. It doesn't have the insulation, but we'll see what the weather is. If it's going to be this warm out, you really don't probably need a -18 bag. So yeah, that bag's probably -7, but it's probably less than that because it's old. I got another -10, and then I got a -18 down.
One for every month.
You kind of build up a little inventory in time.
Perfect. What's in your first aid kit when you go out there? Do you carry a first aid kit?
I do. I've always carried a first aid kit. It's a pretty small kit.
Yeah.
To tell you the truth, it just got your basic bandages. I haven't really had any major injuries out there, but obviously little cuts happen all the time. So, the polysporin, if you've got a little cut for infections, because that's one of the big things always to worried about infections, but I don't have anything like, I guess you got your major bandages if you have an injury of some sort, but yeah, I carry a kit, but it's a fairly small compact kit.
Just minimal and enough to stop the bleed.
Enough to stop the bleeds and some drugs to stop the pain.
Those carrying more and more drugs as you get older, right?
That's actually true. Now I take, I take an ibuprofen or something before bed after every day. I never used to do that. Just to help with the muscles and to relax them. So I do that, nightly, but I only started that a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Well, we've hammered the Q&A on the gear on you here. A little surprise.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're willing to talk about it or not. What led to your situation where you had to be airlifted out?
Yeah, I wish it was a hunting story, but it wasn't. It was really just just a bunch of buddies looking to go for a hike on a weekend, May long weekend on the coast, and didn't have any sort of destination, never looked at maps. We just drove towards Prince Rupert and I just said, that looks like a good one. It was actually in an area where there used to be a service station, got wiped out in the 70s from an avalanche. And that's where I chose to go. So super gnarly. But I mean, that's kind of what interested me, is stuff that is, no gear. I did a little bit of like rappelling and rock climbing, but I didn't bring any gear. I never owned gear. I just went with others. So I never really got into the rock climbing, but I got into the rock climbing on this particular day. With jeans, tank top, runners, not prepared at all. I'm pretty young, but what I consider young is early 20s. And there was a group of us, probably 8. 4 turned back pretty soon, and then 4 of us were like troopers and just like, let's keep going. So it was a big rock face, went up. There was goats getting pretty close. Got scared a few times because it's super steep and it's like you just freeze up. Then eventually we said, okay, it's time to turn back. Oh, my lights went out here. When my lights go out, I'm in my work office. It's telling me I'm supposed to go home.
It's gone on too long.
No. So what happened is we were heading down the avalanche, and it's springtime, and then there was a rock fall behind us. So I actually panicked. Again, another life lesson about don't panic in different situations. So I panicked. I ran as quick as I could towards some cover on the edge of the avalanche chute. I'm on snow, by the way. This is an avalanche, so I'm on like an avalanche chute. So I'm on hard packed snow. I run towards the edge where there's some brush. I look back and I'm airborne into a crevice, but it's a bergschrung. It's like it's where the snow has separated from the rock wall. And that's kind of what I ended up. 25 feet down, it kept going, angled. I managed to land reasonably well on my feet, but I bashed my knee, and that's where I lost the kneecap. And then I stood for 5 hours on one leg, getting hypothermia because it was cold. It wasn't freezing, but it's around freezing. But I'm just like, you're tucked in ice. You're basically in a freezer. So my car was at the bottom of the mountain on the highway. So one of the buddies headed down, tried to find search and rescue. The RCMP tried to find search and rescue. They were having their weekend barbecue out at the lake. So they were partaking in some beverages. So some of them weren't in any shape to come and rescue me, but they had enough individuals that they got together. They geared up, headed up the mountain, got to me, and then called the chopper in just before dark. So I got airlifted out there, and then I got airlifted to Prince George, and the rest is history. That's a life lesson. I mean, there's probably not a day that I don't think about it. And I think for the good. When you're a young male, sometimes you think you're invincible. So I soon realized I'm not invincible. You learn not to take life for granted, because when you're 5 hours stuck in a crevice, you're thinking about family. You're thinking about your family, and you're thinking about how fortunate, I am to survive, because I could have been paralyzed. There's a lot of worse things that could have happened than, losing, say, a kneecap. So, and it actually, it drove my passion to be in the mountains even more, which is kind of a neat thing, right? It never waned. For a few years. I was limping a lot. I was in no condition to go in the mountains. I can't remember then when I actually got back into the mountains. It would have been a few years, and then I just didn't. I never held back, and I just kept going, and realized that I'm fortunate I can do this, and I can actually hunt and mountain hunt, which was a dream since I was a kid. So it's worked out quite well, and I use that story to try to relay that to my son, which he's had a few dings and trips to the hospital. So I guess the apple didn't fall far from the tree, but
he's about the right age to be young and dumb still, right? No comment.
Yeah. He won't listen to this. He's too fidgety.
He's busy guiding off of this season.
He's going to be heading off pretty darn quick here. Yeah. So
perfect. Well, let's end this one on a high then, and we just hit the low, so let's end on the high. In Kamloops, there you brought in quite the mount, the stone sheep there. You mind telling us about that hunt?
Oh, that, that was a special trip. That was, if you want to, that was 2011. That was kind of the climax of a sheep hunt for me. It was kind of what I always dreamed of. I wrote an article in Eastman's on that one. And I mean, I got a nice ram that worked out. It was just really the adventure. There's probably more to the story I'd love to tell one day, but I probably won't have the time here, just because if we're going to run out of time. But there's more that kind of happened on that trip that I put in the article as well, which I'm very open to share. But we had a triple header on rams, which was phenomenal. But it had some of the highs and the lows. I mean, I will say that we took a ram that wasn't legal as well. It was deemed legal 3 weeks later. So, I went from a high of shooting a record book ram to a few minutes later, we took a ram that wasn't legal. It was actually deemed legal later, like I mentioned, but we didn't know that. So, but just 140 kilometers, so 90 some miles of hiking, into an area that I looked at for years and never thought I'd go there. And then we ended up, so when I turned 40, I said, it's time to start doing some of these trips that I dreamed of, the fly-ins, going deep, and really making an adventure of it. So yeah, that ram was a nice, beautiful representation. I think it was a 9-year-old, 40-inch even. Well, just 39 and 6/8, so he's not officially 40, but he was pretty close. And he had some good beef on his the bases as well. So yeah, I mean, there's lots of things that happened on that trip, which I mentioned the one, but just the highs and lows of trips in the mountains it's phenomenal. But you learn so much every trip. You learn lessons. I'm still learning, and if I stop learning, I'm going to probably stop hunting. But I'm learning on every trip about the animals, about the terrain, about myself as an individual. That's where you strip away the internet and all the noise in life. You really get to know who you are, and you get to know who your partners are, and kind of the finer things of and what you're able to do. What you're able to put yourself through is pretty special.
Yeah, you find out in a hurry sometimes out there what you're able to do and what you're not able to do.
Yep, it's what you're not able to do that's important to learn, which I've had to learn a few hard things. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah. So one last question from me anyways. If people want to learn about goats, where's a good place to go for a little education on that?
Yeah, I mean, there's books, The Beast, The Color of Winter. There's always books to read up on. I'm just thinking about resources. I mean, the Rocky Mountain Goat Alliance. You can go on our website. We're going to be putting more information on there all the time, but we have the video that kind of gives you some basics, even on sex identification. We're working on some new course material that we'd like to get out there for basically different jurisdictions and governments to use. So we're working on that at this point. Talking to individuals is important too, right? So, I mean, people that are passionate about goat hunting. So I always find I gather my information from all sources to kind of gather knowledge. Biologists are good. I've over the years connected with regional biologists when I lived up in the north. They can provide some good information. They're not going to give you X's on the map, but they're going to know about goat behavior and what sort of things to look for. But yeah, there's a lot of in British Columbia. We've got so much opportunities, and there's so many people that do hunt goats. There's others that I know, friends that I know that no one knows their name, but they hunt as much as I do for goats. They're just no one would know it. Yeah, we kind of find each other, even though we weren't friends. You kind of I find wherever you go, you find sheep and goat hunters. You just kind of It's like a magnet.
Yeah, it's a weird magnet. I know exactly what you mean there.
You just kind of find each other in a crowd. My wife's like, I don't know how you do it. You just find these individuals that are similar, and similar in a good way, though. I'd say
Yeah.
it's all in a good way. So, there's more resources. Others have goat identification. I mean, we have it on our site. Alaska has a good one on their site. Actually, we just helped out Idaho with a course for their state. We actually had to put that together really quick because they got some funding and they wanted it out for this season. So, no state Idaho has info on their site as well. So, and the best thing is join the Rocky Mountain Goat Alliance. Get involved there. We're getting more projects going. We've got quite a few counts going on in the States right now this summer. I know we did the Squamish count. We had a few opportunities there in the spring. Come to the sheep show, connect with individuals there. That's always a good time. So come to, hopefully it's in Kamloops again next year. I think it is.
Oh, no.
It's not?
We're moving.
Oh, I shouldn't have said this.
Yeah, we're running away from you.
You should. Uh-oh. Okay, still, wherever it is, it's always good. It's always a good time, and that's the key is just making connections. I mean, I met so many new people every year I go, and just helping people out. I mean, there's lots of individuals like myself who want to mentor and help. I'm always good to receive a text. And typically I'll answer it, especially if it's to do with goats and sheep.
Anything else, don't bother.
Anything work related, we just don't know. Don't send it.
Yeah, you got 9 to 5. That's it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of resources out there on goats. And nowadays with the internet, you Google it. I've been reading all sorts of studies that obviously I'm involved with the Rocky Mountain Goat Alliance, so I'm pretty keen to look up some of the studies and the impacts on climate change. And, Northern Wild Sheep and Goat Council put out some good papers in recent years about, impacts of, helicopters and different types of uses, industrial, and what it does to goats in particular. So, I mean, there's a lot of reading material out there. I started off, I just read magazines because I didn't have the internet. So, I'm always just about reading old journals. Outdoor life was something that influenced me since I was pretty young. So picking up those different articles and reading, that was always big for me. But nowadays, I guess there's other options, right? Easy to connect with people. That's the biggest thing, is making connections.
So one thing for the mission, what can people do? How can they support? So obviously buy a membership, buy a life membership. Donations, what kind of stuff, how can they help move the needle for goats wherever they are?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if we're looking for, and we've got some great staff with the Goat Alliance too, that, if there's donations offered, we take that for our auction and different other fundraising events. If people are willing to donate products, knives, whatever it is, we'll utilize that for donations. Again, I mentioned the counts, so citizen science, getting involved with goat counts is good. Educational components, that's a big thing, is just getting involved. I'd like to have more like pub nights and stuff like that too, right? Where we can have them into different cities and just say, here, I'm hoping to have the world record, replica coming to us in the next year, right? Using that for just generating interest, generating discussions with goats, and having more people involved. I mean, in British Columbia, there's so many individuals that are keen on goats because we've got a lot of goats. We've got lots of opportunities to see goats, to hunt goats, and to help out in that component as well. So, we're growing. We've got quite a few regional reps in the Goat Alliance in British Columbia as well. So that's always that's been a plus, right? We've got definitely a good following and a good representation in BC for goats.
I've got a quick question for you about general open season. So BC is general open season for a lot of British Columbia. There's areas that are obviously on an LEH or draw system. Are there other jurisdictions that are open? I think Alaska obviously is, but anywhere in the lower 48, are they a lot of places?
No, nothing in the lower 48. So
Okay.
That's when I went to Reno and they're hearing that we can hunt over the counter for sheep and goats. They're like, you got to be kidding. Which that just doesn't happen in these other jurisdictions other than Alaska. You're right, for sheep and goats, but we're fortunate. The Kootenays, of course, is mainly LEH, but there's some open opportunities there as well. And then if you go into the north, into Region 6 and 7, there's nothing but opportunities.
Yeah, so for you BCers listening, and I know we got lots of BCers on the podcast, there's two things to take away. Make sure you do your part to look after the resource. So, Marvin talked about it, about don't shoot nannies, shoot old billies. So obviously that goes without saying. And then let's support the Alliance. They're looking after the conservation aspect of the resource. They're looking after goats. So if you're not a member, if you're in the mountains and you care about goats, join the Alliance. It's absolutely critical that you do that. And, let's support that resource and look after the organization that's looking after these amazing animals. So thank you, Marvin, for all you guys do. You got an amazing team there. It's inspiring. I love what you're doing. I love what Darren's doing, and a bunch of, I don't know, all the great things that are being done over there, but it's really good, and I'm really proud to be a life member with you guys.
Yeah, well, I just appreciate being on here, and we really value the partnerships that we do have with Wild Sheep Society, and others as well. That's key, is building relationships. We all have very similar mindsets, and we're all keen on conservation. So yeah, we all get along pretty well, which is important.
Oh, your lights are kicking you out again. I think that's a good note to end on. Lights off, Marvin's out.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming on the show, and look forward. We'll do it again. Let's do this. This is fun.
Yeah.
Let's do it at Sheep Week, and we'll grab some whiskeys and do it with the whiskey in hand. It'll be fun. Yeah,
we'll do that, and I'm sure we'll see you hopefully next year at the Sheep Week as well, if not before that. There's been lots of opportunities. We've seen each other this year, which is great.
Absolutely.
Okay. Take care, guys.
Appreciate you.
You bet. Okay, bye-bye.